All right, what's going on, guys? It's Alex from Fitment Industries.
And it's Andrew. What's up?
When we're going to be talking about 2018 trends, what we think is going to be hot or not coming into this car season, the wonderful year of 2018.
Hate it or love it, but there is a ton of stuff that's trending, a lot of stuff that's fallen off, but we're just gonna give you our opinion on it.
So the first thing that we're gonna talk about is like wheel colors. So I don't know if you guys have noticed this, but when we were at SEMA, when we've been going around to car shows in 2017, the #1 color that we kept seeing pop up is that bronze finish. So we think that 2018, we're gonna be hit with a ton of bronze, a ton of just those super bright colors that you're gonna see, something like that red that you see a lot of times with the metallic flakes. So definitely gonna see some pop in colors for wheels.
Yeah, brushed bronze is a really big color, and if you check out, you'll see some Rohana boxes behind us. So Rohana's got a lot of new wheels that are out. We saw them at SEMA, they look dope. The brushed bronze is an absolutely beautiful color, so something to keep an eye out for. So if you're cruising around online on the Fitment Industries website, or even other than manufacturer websites, you're gonna see that bronze is gonna be a super hot color. It's actually a color that I'm gonna do, and ironically, I ran red wheels last year, so it's certainly a trend that's, you know, it kind of blew up, I think, last year, and it's following over into 2018.
And something that you see a lot with those bright, flashy colors is something that we're going to see coming into 2018 as well as vehicle wraps. So vehicle wraps is something that's become more and more common. You definitely see that versus people getting their entire car painted. And you're going to see a lot more flat, neutral, matte colors coming into vehicle wraps in 2018 to really wrap in those super bright wheel colors, I think.
Yeah, and you know, originally I come from an era of old school, and I got to show you this. So I used to be a Honda guy back in the day, and I ran graphics on the side of my Civic, and of course Modern Image was a super hot company, just like from Fast and Furious. They were based out of California, so it's interesting to see everything kind of circle back. It originally went from the tear, really abstract graphics, to wraps, and now if you're cruising around on Instagram, you're gonna see a lot of these really abstract patterns, multi-patterns kind of coming back, half vehicle wraps. So definitely keep an eye out for vinyl. It is making a comeback whether you like it or not.
Seems like everything's pretty much going retro lately, especially when it comes down to like designs and colors and wraps and all that sort of stuff. I mean, that's where it gets really crazy, is that a lot of these designs and stuff, you look back maybe 15, 20 years, especially with wheels and stuff, and it's like all those designs are coming back, so.
Yeah, retro wheels, the mesh style. Rotiform LASR is a perfect example of that. So you kind of have the multi-spoke with the circle in the middle, kind of the turbine style or rally fan style wheels, turbo fans. All that stuff is certainly making a comeback. Big chunky monoblock wheels. So retro is in, big wings, big body kits, which would lead us into another point. Over flares and fenders. It's funny, from my era, 2003 through 2005, I had the Civic, Hondas were blowing up, and it was all about the really ricey, crazy body kits. Everybody loved them, and now it's kind of moved away from that. It's more of the lip kit style, and now it's having the massive fenders and the crazy wheel fitment.
And it's crazy to think that, like, we look back at 2001 and 2002 with like the body kits and just thinking about how god awful ugly those things are now. And it's like we're going right back into it, but right now everything's dope. Over fenders are the coolest thing that you can have on your car right now. Body kits, splitters, you know, all that sort of side skirts that people are putting back on their cars again. It seems like it's interesting to see the trend go back towards that, even though we're still kind of ragging on the early 2000s and the kits that they had then. I got a feeling in 5 to 10 years, those over fenders are going to be exactly what we think those kits were back from 2002.
Yeah, it's interesting to think about what the next trend might be. And of course, I remember when aluminum wings were big, the APR spoiler, the APR GT2 spoiler, the big old aluminum airplane wing from Fast and Furious. I had a bunch of homies back in the day that ran that. Everybody ragged on it. It turned into fiberglass wings, and it was about the duckbill spoilers. Yep. And now the big wings are coming back. And if you check out our homie Charlie that works here in customer service, you will notice he has a massive airplane wing on his
pretty much has
Cooper.
Everything that we're talking about. The big wing, almost the matte style, vinyl finish, and then he's going with those super bright rotiforms and the lights. So that goes into another thing. So we talk about retro design, we talk about retro body kits coming back, I mean, over fenders, all that sort of stuff. Underglow's coming back, and I have absolutely no idea why. It just seems to be a thing that people are running back on their cars. You see it a lot, especially in the West Coast. A lot of SoCal cars are running, you know, usually slam static, and then they usually got a ton of lights all over the place. So I don't really even know why it's happening, but it's happening.
Now, I like glow. I'm a DJ, I'm into lighting, I'm into all the crazy stuff. I love going to the EDM shows with all the lights and stuff. And I think that's dope to do the underglow kits. Now the interior stuff gets a little weird when you have strobes in the headlights, and some of that can get kind of corny, but sometimes just a really clean underglow kit, I personally think is pretty dope. Definitely let us know what you guys think of that.
I don't think I've ever ran underglow on a car in my entire life, ever. Yeah.
I did. I was guilty. I had the LED, the flashing kits, and if you know me and you're watching this, a lot of people can attest for that. I will say I was one of the first people to have the LED kit that had the flashing patterns, but I like my lights, so it's questionable whether I'll put one on the all track. We'll see.
But that kind of goes into everything too. So, you know, when we look back at old school design and we're trying to figure out how that's going to, you know, intertwine into 2018, I think one of the biggest things is suspension and just how the car overall looks. It seems like a lot of people are going for aesthetics in how they're building their car, and they're making them look like race cars, but they're making them look like a 2002 version of a race car, right? So the over fenders make the wide wheels, and then they're going into making their car as low as possible. And I think that's why we think air suspension, air ride is going to be absolutely massive in 2018. Just like coils were in 2012, you know, coils were the thing to get. It was about as adjustable as you could get. And now it's all going to air ride, it's going to airlift, it's going to all of those companies that I think are really going to blow up the scene.
Yeah, I think originally it started off with lowering springs, and even back in early 2000 when the import Fast and Furious stuff was popping off, you know, closing out the wheel gap wasn't such a big thing, where now it's all about sitting fender to lip, it's about sitting tucked or exactly flush, all about that perfect fitment. So air ride is definitely going to be hot. I'm personally bagging the Volkswagen All-Track I have, so we will get you a ton of videos on the build of that. Something I'm excited to do. It'll be the first time I've ever ran airlift. I got a bunch of homies that run airlift, and of course going to all the shows after we came back from SEMA. Everybody is on air, everyone's sitting super low, so it's really motivating, and I think everyone's gonna have a lot of bad cars at shows this year, so stay tuned for that.
It kind of seems like, at least in the scene of wheels, tires, and suspension, that it's pulling away from having performance and aesthetic to having the aesthetic first and then worrying about performance. It does seem like more people are kind of trying to get into that aggressive look without actually modifying their vehicles. That's kind of a thing that I'm not a huge fan of. I tend to enjoy having things go super fast and then making them, you know, look, you know, with the lowered wheels and stuff like that. But the scene is definitely kind of going more towards how does that thing look, you know, in a picture, how does it roll around on video. And there's definitely some cool cars out there right now that we didn't really expect to hit the scene. You know, wagons have really taken, I think, the scene by storm in the past couple of years. A lot of VIPs coming over, and that's where you get like that Japanese retro styling. You know, you get a lot of Japanese cues from that scene overseas. It kind of comes over into, you know, America, and it takes a couple of years for that to kind of formulate. So you're seeing a lot of Japanese cues, I think, in the designing now, but with like a domestic twist. So rotiform, again, we kind of bring that up again, where it's like it's taking those old school designs, regardless on where they come from, putting a modern twist on it, and then putting it on a new car. So you can kind of get a really cool design without it looking, I think, outdated or old school.
Yeah, and I think to segue off of what Alex is saying, you know, that the culture has never really died, just a lot of stuff kind of comes in waves. So if you think it's gonna go out, it's certainly gonna come back. It always happens. And one thing too that we also noticed at SEMA, and we're seeing a lot with the wheel vendors, is not only, you know, I think people need to realize that there's going to be patterns that other manufacturers emulate. You know, they take those styling cues and then they basically kind of put their own twist on it. So one pattern, we'll drop a pic up above here. So it's basically a 5-spoke, and it's another 5-spoke that's twisted. So that's going to be kind of a hot pattern too, or style, I should say, that Rohana's doing. Niche Wheels is doing it. I've seen a few people do this actually. So it's kind of the thinner spokes with a 5-spoke that's been twisted. So I think that is going to be a hot pattern. We saw a couple of them at SEMA, and it's a really neat looking style. So depending on whether you're domestic, import, it's just one of those really good looking wheels that looks good on anything.
In my personal opinion, on something that I don't think is going to be hot much longer, are going to be the riveted over fenders. So if you guys didn't know, the Datsun that I had riveted over fenders. I know a ton of people that went with the rivet over fenders, which is not a bad look by any means, but one thing that I saw at SEMA a lot was they went backwards and went towards a molded fender flare. So everything was smoothened out in the wide body kits. They weren't going so much for that aggressive bolt-on sort of look. They were going more towards a smoother, you know, you can't really stick it out too much if you weren't looking at it hard enough to see that it was wide bodied. I do think that that's going to come back. I think that people that are doing the riveted over fenders and things like that, they want to be different. So now the people that have the capability to mold on fender flares, I think that's what they're going to start doing. So you're going to see that happen more often, especially in the 2018, 2019 scene. I think you're going to see that a ton at SEMA for 2018.
Oh yeah.
And I think one other thing is that you know, these wheel companies, it used to just be, you could either go cast or you could go multi-piece, right? And now it's like you got two-piece, you got rotary forging, you have fully forged monoblocks, you have all these companies that even you wouldn't expect, like ESR is coming out with a multi-piece wheel and forged wheel. XXR has a forged wheel. It's crazy to think that these companies are doing that now.
Yeah, don't sleep on some of the, I would say, entry-level companies, and those guys make absolutely great products, but I think they're trying to realize that there's also a market for the high-line stuff. Rotary forging is huge. We're seeing that with a bunch of brands, so it is kind of cool, and in my opinion, to see that some of these guys are stepping up to the plate. They want to tackle the forged wheels. Regan 5 has a forged line that's coming out, absolutely beautiful wheels. Rotary forging with the new Rohana wheels look awesome. So once again, we saw that stuff at SEMA. It's about being loud, it's about having lightweight, kick-ass looking wheels. So definitely stay tuned. We're gonna get you guys all the scoops and all the updates when all the new wheels drop on the website. So we're excited for 2018. Let us know what you guys think of all this. If you have any opinions or anything that you guys want us to cover next time, we look at catch you next week, maybe?
Yeah.
Keep us posted. Let us know what you want to see. Peace.
See ya.